Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Derek, and I co-own 10 e-commerce product brands and run a manufacturing business. And today I'm going to be showing how we're using some pretty cool automations in our business. One that we've been using that has been working really well is basically an AI business partner that we run through a WhatsApp chat. So essentially, anytime my business partner and I and our executive assistant are chatting, daily, we do it in WhatsApp just because we're not in the same place. So we're constantly doing like voice notes and just like general business discussions. And I've set up an agent that is always in that chat, and it monitors the chat for any conversations. It records all of it in memory. It maintains an action item list, a new product launch list. It can transcribe Loom videos, and basically has a store of memory of all of our internal business discussions, so they can always queue that when basically we need it to answer any questions about things that we've talked about. So in this video, I'm going to go over how I got this set up. So basically, there's one main agent here that runs everything. It's an AI agent node in n8n. And you can really get messages into this agent in many different ways. You can go through Slack, you can go through like the chat, even in n8n, you can create an external chat interface. But because we use WhatsApp, the incoming messages and outgoing messages right now are set to be in WhatsApp. I'm going to go through how I got that set up. So basically all this starts with a webhook. And this webhook is essentially monitoring traffic being sent to the webhook by an API that is connected to WhatsApp. So what I'm using is called Evolution API. And getting this set up is probably going to be a whole different video. But basically, I've got a single WhatsApp number called Novi, which is a dedicated WhatsApp phone number. And that is connected, or basically there's a API instance or a cloud instance of this API running on Google Cloud. And then it's exporting all messages received to a webhook. So this essentially is what allows capturing any incoming messages through WhatsApp. And then within n8n, we have to filter that because this webhook literally captures every message. It doesn't matter what chat it came through or group message it came through, it's getting everything. And then this same API allows that WhatsApp number to send messages through an automation. To get this set up, it was actually pretty complicated, but now that I know how to do it, it'd be pretty quick. But I use the Evolution API here and then use Cursor to create or basically deploy an instance of this API in my Google Cloud on a virtual machine. So within Google Cloud, I set up an instance, and that instance, basically has an IP address. And then I use Cursor to deploy this API to that IP address, so that, if you look here, you can see this external IP, and then that IP address is where this WhatsApp API is living, and that allows any time for that to monitor the that allows it to monitor the WhatsApp messages. So I can do a separate video on how to set that up because it took a while. Let me go back to here. So basically, this monitors the incoming messages. Then inside here, essentially up front, it filters messages based on the group chat. So this specific agent, I'm having it monitor basically two WhatsApp channels. I have a test one and then the live one that my business partner and I go in. So basically any messages that go to either of those groups, because this WhatsApp ID is a group, that will go into the agent. Then let's see. Oh, this basically filters out any messages that come from the agent itself. Otherwise, it would come into the flow like a normal message. So I filter out those messages. Then essentially here I am treating different types of messages different ways. So, within WhatsApp, you can get audio messages or different types of text messages. So I have a switch in here that essentially says, okay, what kind of message is it? Audio, conversation, or something called extended text. And those get processed differently. If it's an audio message, I'm grabbing the audio. Basically, I grab the audio base64 file, and then I convert that to an audio in OGG format, and then I send that to OpenAI to transcribe. That transcribes the audio, and then I'm loading that into Supabase. So basically all messages coming through here, whether they're audio or text messages, I'm logging in a Supabase table. Let's see, I'll go within Supabase. I've got various tables that I'm using within this workflow. I believe the one with all the messages from WhatsApp are getting logged in this table. And you can do that by checking here, table name WhatsApp messages. So yeah, it's actually this table. I've done this a few different times. So essentially, every message that comes in to this automation gets logged in a table. And the automation puts in the text. And if it was an audio, then it'll put in the audio transcript here. Once we've got the message, then before we send it to the agent, I essentially just grab the critical things from the incoming message, which would be the ID, sender, group ID, which is the group it came from, the message itself, which if it's an audio, it'll do the audio text. If it's a text, it'll just bring the text, and then the date. And so essentially that is what is the input to the AI business partner agent. So within the agent, I essentially say you got a message with these properties where I just import those from the previous node. And then the agent itself, I basically give a system prompt to tell it what tools it has available and what to do in various situations. So this is gonna be custom to everyone, but I essentially tell it what tools it has, when to use those tools, and just specific things on how to respond and what to do with various types of messages. So then the other thing with all these agents, the important part is you need to give it a model. I'm using GPT 4.1 to run this because it's really the best at understanding a lot of context, and it's the smartest from OpenAI right now. So I use 4.1. It's possible that 4.1 mini could work, but 4.1's been working pretty well for this agent, so that's what I've been sticking with. And then all agents need a memory as well. So I'm using Postgres chat memory, which essentially is, instead of just the n8n simple memory, essentially all the chat memory is getting stored in a Supabase table. And that one's called n8n WhatsApp. So if you look over here, n8n WhatsApp, basically all the chat history for this chat gets saved in the Supabase table. And that ends up working pretty well because I can tell this to basically keep 15 messages in its context window. And then I set the key to be the group ID, which is the group ID of this WhatsApp chat specifically, so that essentially all messages in a single chat are part of the same memory. So you can see here the session ID, that's the WhatsApp chat ID. So by using the WhatsApp chat ID, this agent has access to the last 15 iterations of that agent in that WhatsApp channel. Then as far as memory goes, Something else I've set up that is pretty custom but works really well is I've set up a vector database. I'd have to do a different video on exactly how to set this up, but essentially I have an n8n table called documents that is a vector database. And this essentially has all of the chat history from this WhatsApp chat, but then also like business specific knowledge that I want to put in here. So whenever we do Loom videos, it gets logged into this vector database. And then I even pulled like long audio messages from like Plod or other YouTube videos that myself or my business partners done, and basically add that in to this vector database memory, which allows this agent to have access to much more memory than just the last 15 messages. Because that's the thing, with the chat memory, you only get the previous so many messages. But with the long-term vector database, you can put any knowledge you want in there, and this has access to that knowledge. The next piece of any agent is you got to hook it up to tools. And so I've got, every single one of these nodes is tools, but I've got them grouped here by exactly what they're doing. So the agent itself has the ability to send a WhatsApp message. It has the ability to send a image message as well. It's like the output of the agent itself sends back a message, but sometimes we want it to send a message if it's like thinking or working on something else. So it also has message ability as a tool. The way that I have these set up is they're actually calling a different workflow. So it essentially says it calls a subflow. So I have subflows set up for all these things. Then I give it the ability to transcribe a Loom video. So this also I have set up as a sub workflow, and I'm using Apify to basically get a Loom transcript based on a Loom link. I've also given it access to our sales and inventory. So that's a whole separate workflow I can do a different video on, but essentially this agent has access to a massive database of all of our Amazon sales. So you ask it questions about like what were our sales yesterday, and be able to tell you. Let's see, the other thing we got in here is just action items. So it manages an action item list in Supabase as well. So I can just quickly show you that. So if we look at action item table, so essentially just has a pretty simple action item list. What is the action item? Who's it assigned to? Assigned by, due date, priority, status. And basically anytime we tell the agent to create an action item, it just throws it in here. And then, if we tell it that that action item is done, then it will, close it out here. And then we've also just got like any kind of product launch ideas that we have. It maintains that launch because we do a lot of discussion about product launching. So I have that in a separate table, and it has the ability to, let me see here, where is it? Oh yeah, product development pipeline. So, beef tallow, bulk beef tallow was created by Brandon, and here's notes for that product. So essentially, it knows about all the products that we will want to be launching. All right, so what I'm going to do now is show how to clone this to a different chat. So there's multiple ways to do that. You can just copy this. Since I'm in n8n, I'm just going to go to duplicate, and I'll call this WhatsApp chat agent, and I'm going to call this B2B because we're hooking it up to a different B2B chat. So I'm going to duplicate that. Essentially, that pulls in your whole workflow. So now that we got this in here, it's going to be using, let's see. Okay, I actually realized here that I got to do this differently because this webhook, I only get to point to one webhook in the WhatsApp here. So I'm actually going to have to do something else here. I'm going to go back to the other one. I'm going to go back to the main agent here. And because this is where the webhook is getting monitored, I'm going to basically need to send this to a different workflow. So I'm going to show you how to do this. But basically, if I want to go add Novi to a different chat, I'm going to go to that chat. I'm going to add Novi as a member. Why didn't it work? Add. Okay, so Novi has to be in the chat if it's going to monitor that chat. So I added Novi to this chat here. Now, something that I'm going to have to do is essentially do a test to see what this group ID is when I send a message. So since I'm in here right now, I'm going to just go test workflow. So it's waiting for trigger event. So basically this is waiting for a message to come in. So if I go into that same chat and I type in a test message, let's see. Okay, we're gonna have to do this a different way because the problem I forgot in here, like the webhook in test mode, it's a different URL. In my evolution manager, it's the production URL. So instead of changing it, I'm going to do this a different way. Basically, because I know I sent that test message and it was to the production URL, I'm going to go to executions here, and we should be able to see when that message came through. And you can see here, this is every time a message comes in, it's going to execute the flow, even if it doesn't go through all of it. So I'm going to assume it's this one because it got filtered out. So let's see what came in on the webhook. So if I look in on the webhook, you see this test, test, test. So this is the message that came through with that group ID. So I'm just going to copy this in case I lose it into a notepad somewhere else, just so I have it, because sometimes you lose stuff. It's easier just to save it somewhere so you have it. But the most important part that we're looking for is this remote ID, which is the group ID here. That one is what we need to basically, like, that is the ID of the group chat. And so I need to, basically pull that and change these filters out here. So I'm going to copy that group ID. I'm going to go back to editor. You see here this if statement. If it's equal to this, do this. This is the group ID that I need to add here. So if it's false, basically instead here, I'm going to add another if. And then I'm going to say, let's see here. You could also just duplicate this. That would probably be easier. Before I do that, I'm going to just copy that. This is the group ID that I'm looking for of that new chat, 7922. Then I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to put that here. I'm going to connect that. I'm just going to duplicate this to say do nothing. I don't think you really need this, but I'll add that later. So basically now it's going to, instead of sending these messages to my other chat, this one, if the group ID is this, then what I'm going to do is call execute subflow. And let's save this because now I'm going to go back into this other workflow, which is the B2B. And instead of having this start with a webhook, I'm going to have it set when I'm going to have it set, let's see, when executed by another workflow. Yeah, when executed by another workflow. Okay, so I'm back in the B2B agent here, and what I'm going to do, so when executed by another workflow, what we need to do is send in the body of that message from the other workflow. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back to the other one, and now we need to make sure to send that body. So I'm going to choose, let me see, let's make sure it's in here. Yeah, WhatsApp, chat, main B2B. So then you see here, body. So we got to try to get the body. Let's see. Instead of doing this, I'm going to just go to this. I think if I just go in here, I'm going to just put in JSON.body. Basically, that should pull in the whole body of the message. And the way I got that was just if I go into executions just to see the previous time this ran, you can see here, you know, what's coming through is a lot of different properties. And the stuff that we're really interested in is contained in the body of that information. It's an object. And this contains everything about the message. So as long as I send that to this other workflow, then that should basically send that body to that workflow, to this agent here. So I'm going to save. I'm going to go back to B2B. And now that body object should be coming in. Now if I test workflow, let's see if I can send a message. Hold on. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on. Okay, what I'm going to try to do here is go pull some test data here. So if I go back to here and I go back to executions, if I go into, this is still that same message, okay? So I'm going to pull this whole JSON again. Damn it. Okay, copy that. I'm going to go back to B2B. Now, I'm going to test this again. I'm going to edit this. So this is kind of a trick in n8n. I'm going to paste in this info. All right, so I pasted in the body here, just so we have a test message. Okay, so now I have the body as like a mock message from the other thing here. and I saved it and I pinned it. So now if I go here, we don't need these filters anymore because the other one is sending messages just for that group chat. Let's see, JSON, is it from me? I might still need that one. I might still need that because I need to filter out messages from Novi itself. So we'll leave that. You can see here, like it's already grabbing this. So now in these other workflows, I see this mock data. So let's see, that should work. The switch should also work. If I just, basically you need to execute each node to send more information to the next one. So now this switch, this, now this is pulling in information since I duplicated this workflow. So really I just need to like get rid of, this part because it's not coming from a webhook anymore. And when it's green, that means it can see that information. So if I test this now, since that was a text message, it's going to pass this as true. And that's going to go to Supabase. Now, basically, something we'll have to figure out is, for now, I'm just going to use the same Supabase table and keep all the messages in that. We may want to have different Supabase tables per like WhatsApp conversation. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and keep them in there. So WhatsApp messages, okay. Now again, like I just need to change this stuff here. Okay, I updated all these fields to be right. Now let's test this step. Basically that's saying that it threw that into the Supabase table. We need to make sure that all these other fields are updated, so I'm just going to go through here and do that. Okay, I updated all these to now grab the right information. Inside the AI business partner, for now I'm just going to leave this the same as the system prompt because I think it should be all right. But what is important is that we update the table. So in here, I'm just going to call it, B2B, so that it's basically different chat history for this specific conversation. And if you don't have a table already in Supabase, this will just create it. So I don't need to create that table. n8n will create that table for me. So it's got new chat memory. Right now I'm just going to give it access to the same long-term memory. So it has all that. And now let's see, the tools should still be the same. For now, we'll leave it to the same action item list and the same PD list. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to make this active. Oh, it looks like you don't need to activate it if it's activated by a sub workflow. So now let me test the whole workflow here and see if Novi responds to that group message. Oh, I got an error. Let's see what happened there. I see what happened because I already I already created an entry in the WhatsApp table with this ID. So I'm just going to go into WhatsApp messages and fix that real quick. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to, this gets a little bit technical. May not need to do this all the time, but let me just copy this because it's a unique key. I hate this thing. Okay, let me filter where message ID equals boom. Okay, now I'm just going to delete this message. Just so that I can run this workflow again and see if it works. Let's have this up here and let's go test workflow. Now that's actually talking to the agent. Now let's see if we get, okay. You can see here the workflow executed and Novi responded. Boom. Okay, so that at least works with the mock data. Remember, I still have this pinned. So the key here now is you just unpin this data so that now, you know, it's going to hopefully get messages from the other workflow. So now let me just type in here, Novi, are you working? And you can kind of watch this to see if any executions are coming through. So you see here it's running. So hopefully that means it got the message. And boom, Novi is now responding in that chat and seems to be working. So yeah, I mean, we got that hooked up now. So I mean, kind of a lot of workarounds there to get that to work. But this does seem to be working now. And now I have that agent added to another chat. Next time, you know, it'll probably be a lot faster. So let me know what you think.